What I'm going to do now is I'm going to build a study in TrialKit. Most systems, this might take a little while, but with TrialKit, it's really quite simple. We go into a study manager here. I'm going to add a new study, and we're just going to call this atrial fibrillation registry. Okay. And you can enter a study description here. It is actually used by AI when it generates data, but I'm going to have AI create a protocol and we'll use that instead. So I'm just going to call this test. And we'll call the protocol ID test. Within TrialKit, you have several different types of studies. This is just going to be a testing training study, and I'm going to base this off of a blank study template. TrialKit, every study is based off of some other study. I've got an absolutely blank study here, so I'll base it off of that. And we're going to go in and we'll build this study in TrialKit. It takes about 10 seconds to actually build the study. So it's built now, the atrial fibrillation study. I'm going to go into TrialKit and I'm going to switch to it. Okay, and you'll see it right here. And so now we're in this study. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into our AI tools, and I'll quickly explain what they are. First, we have an AI chatbot, which is where Floyd does a lot of the study design and can build up the study schedule and the case report forms. It can build things like e-diaries and unscheduled visits as well. You can ask Floyd any question that you want, and it will respond to that question. Next, we can actually generate data using Floyd. And one thing we talked about with Kelsey is that when you're actually generating data for study validation or even study simulation, you can't just randomly select things. That data needs to be smart and intelligent. And that's something that AI really does well and brings to the table. The next thing we want to do is be able to validate that study. Okay, study validation takes a long time. The bigger the study, the longer it takes. Automating that process really cuts down in that time and obviously the associated cost. And then finally, we do study analysis using Floyd to take a look at the synthetic data that it created. And you can ask Floyd any sort of question that you want. We'll go through all of that. But for now, I'm going to go into the chatbot here. Okay, I'm on our proprietary data model, and I'm going to ask a simple question. I'm going to say protocol, which is a keyword for our proprietary data model. I want to create a atrial fibrillation registry. Okay, that's all I'm going to do. Just going to say that. And by the way, rather than creating it, we could go in and we could ingest it by loading the file. That ingest the actual protocol for the study. So Floyd's going to go through and he's going to fall back on his enormous amount of knowledge to create this protocol for us. And that's really the first step in building a study with Floyd. So sometimes he can take a little bit longer than others, and we'll just wait it out and she'll come back here in a second or two. One thing that I want to mention with TrialKit is when Floyd is doing complex tasks, they're done in the background, which leaves you full control of TrialKit. You can go and do anything you want. So anyway, Floyd's a very positive AI bot and basically says, hey, what a great idea. And Floyd comes back and creates a pretty detailed protocol on atrial fibrillation. Okay, and that's what you get. So I'm going to clear this, and my next question is I'm going to very simply say, and this is another keyword, schedule, create the visit schedule and associated CRFs. Okay, so now I'm saying, take this protocol, Floyd, and convert that into a visit schedule that will work in TrialKit and all of the case report forms that will be necessary to study atrial fib. And so Floyd has come back with that. And you can see if you would like Floyd to create this visit schedule and associated forms in TrialKit, tap the Add Visit Schedule button. Okay, and that's this. We have a variety of different ways of doing things, but we're only going to produce new forms. We're not going to pull anything from cache, so Floyd can do this right from the beginning. Remember, we've started with a completely empty study, so I'm going to do that. And now Floyd is going and doing that. And at any time, we can bring up our jobs, and you can see Floyd is building a number of the case report forms that are required for the study. He's showing us his progress. And I can, this is actually kind of cool. I'm gonna save this as AFib. Okay, the AFib session. I'm gonna leave this. All right, we're gonna go into TrialKit's form builder here. All right, and one thing Floyd does is when he finishes building a form, he makes it the default form. And you can see this is right now an AF and AFib characteristics form. And if we go in, you can see some of the forms that he's already created as he goes through and builds the study for us directly into TrialKit. If we wanted to take a look, for example, at the demographics form that he's created, it's right here. And Floyd can create really, really complex forms as well. Here's a screening and consent form, okay? And each time we go in there, there's a few more forms as Floyd continues to do things.